This is the 8-bit beast, and this is my TAS of Sonic the Hedgehog on the Master System. Sonic the Hedgehog was originally released on Genesis in 1991, and it came out on Master System later on in 1991. They are actually very different games though. This TAS will beat the game as fast as possible, and I encourage you to check out the submission text in the description for more information. You'll notice now we're going at a normal walking pace, but when we start rolling we're going to speed up a lot. That's because rolling down hills or in the air lets you build up speed and exceed the speed cap. You have to wait for the screen to scroll and see the sign to load, and then we can beat the level. This video cuts out the bonus screens for a faster viewing experience. If you want to see those, there's a video that has them in the description. So coming up as our first clip, we're going to take a spring into the wall here, and also coming up is our second clip. These clips stop a platform from loading, and that is this platform, and that lets it be more left so we can make it across the gap in rolling rather than jumping, letting us build up more speed. You'll also notice before that signpost I slowed down a lot. That's because if you hit the signpost at full speed, it'll fly up in the air and take a really long time to come back down. And it doesn't increase any game time, but it does increase real time, and we don't want that. So here's our first boss. Boss levels are quite strange with lag. The lag frames aren't real lag frames, so you don't really have to reduce them here. We get 7 hits on the boss and he takes 8 hits to kill, so that's very convenient. And we get his last hit up here. You might have been wondering why I didn't hit him on his first flying above phase, and that's because he's too hard to hit. On that second one he actually flies a pixel lower, so you can hit him. If you've played the Game Gear version, you'll remember being able to hit him while he's flying up in the air, but not the Master System version, unfortunately. Here's Bridge 1. There's a very complicated glitch which I'll explain later. Let's watch for now. So in case you didn't catch it, the very complicated glitch was that massive upwards boost that I got off the bridge. So this is sort of the new groundbreaking glitch that's been found since my last TAS of this game, and we call it a bank error glitch. So what's happening there is each tile in the level, each level tile, has an associated solidity data value. The name is misleading, it's more like a special behavior. So for example, a spring will have a springy behavior, and a spike will hurt you, and the slime in Labyrinth will make you slip down it, and the water in Green Hill will make you go slower in the water, and so on. So there's actually, there's this function that takes the tile value and gets the solidity value from it. Now that's fine on its own, but there's also this other thing called the interrupt that happens on every frame. And the interrupt and this solidity function are usually very far apart. They happen at very different times. But when the game is very laggy, the interrupt can actually happen during the middle of the solidity function. Now normally that wouldn't cause too much of an issue, but Master System games use something called ROM banks, which is sort of which part of the game cartridge is it looking at. Now the solidity function wants to look at segment 15, and the interrupt wants to look at segment 2, or bank 2. Now, so the solidity function loads bank 15, the interrupt happens, it loads bank 2, but the interrupt doesn't then load bank 15 back for the solidity function, it just leaves it on bank 2. So, as a result, it's looking at the complete wrong part of the ROM, and it's getting the wrong solidity value. So that's how I bounced up off the bridge. It essentially thought I was on a spring because the interrupt happened and swapped it to the wrong bank. So it's very complicated, it's extremely precise, it took us a really long time to figure out, but we know what's going on now. So we'll see that a few more times in the run. And all that you missed with Bridge 2 there was just a bit of auto-scroller. Nothing too exciting going on there apart from lag reduction. And not getting 30 rings, because that would take longer on the bonus screen, which is cut out. In this boss I'm going to get a 6-2. The side that the boss comes up on is RNG, and it sort of depends on when you trigger the boss. Now, the boss would have come up on the left there, so I actually had to manipulate him to come out on the right. It cost me 2 frames, unfortunately. So, the reason I want him on the right is because then he leaves the screen sooner. Coming up is Jungle 1, one of my favourite levels. And we're going to be building up a lot of speed very soon off of a shield box. Shield box, crab, and this is the new thing, the other box. My previous TAS didn't do that. It's very precise. You'll notice that I lost a shield there, and it actually made Sonic slow down a lot. The reason that I lost the shield is because the shield is very, very, very laggy. And so it actually cost me 23 frames overall to lose that shield there. But in this level, not having the shield saves over 100 frames. So it's quite a bit. And for reference, there are 60 frames in a second in this game. And the reason that it saves so much time in this level is just because there's less lag if you don't have the shield, even though you're off screen for most of this level. This level has the scrolling up gimmick where it'll scroll up if you're on the ground and not jumping. And if you fall down again, you'll die. So if I fell down to the bottom of the screen here, I'd be dead. We do have to wait for it to scroll up because of the moving logs and for this signpost to load. Because, yeah, otherwise they don't. So this is the boss level. We're getting some nice fun vine climbs. These are really bad for dropping inputs. It's obviously not that bad in TAS. And I'm getting hits on Robotnik as soon as he is vulnerable. There was one hit that I had to delay a little bit because of the bull. But most of those were quite early. As early as I could have got them anyway. And that is Jungle Zone done. This is a weird level where if I waited a little bit longer to get a worse time, I would have got a shorter time bonus and saved time overall. But we don't do that in TASes. We don't slow down on purpose for that reason. Or speedruns for that matter. Alright, here's Labyrinth, and it's very underwater, and we'll go very slow. What I'm going to do in this section is get a damage boost from the enemy. If you turn around the frame before you hit it, he'll boost you right. And we're going to do a clip in this wall, go up. The reason I look up for that clip is just because it reduces a bit of lag, it gets the enemy off screen sooner. Got another bank error glitch here. You'll notice that I went left very fast there, and what solidity type actually got loaded was the slime from Labyrinth 2 that goes left. And that made me go left very fast and, well, be able to jump. Alright, just casually gone off the left side of the screen here, and we came out the right side. That's because the game tries to put Sonic at a negative value when he goes off the left, which is interpreted as a very large positive value. And this level is one of my favourites here, and we're going to bounce on this spring, come back and bounce on it again, but we get rolling this time, which lets us break the speed cap and jump down here. That's not any faster to get into the boss arena, but we got 4 hits on Ivo there, not 3. And that's where it saves a lot of time. Because now we only have 1 hit left. My old TAS had 2 hits left. I will warn anyone here, if you're sensitive to seizures, please avert your eyes right now. That was another bank error glitch. The solidity type that I got there was a spring to the right. And that obviously gave me a lot of speed. The reason for the funky colours is because I had to pause as Ivo was leaving the screen, which messed with the capture loading and gave us funky colours. It's unfortunate, but it saved time. This is Scrap Brain, and there are lots of these doors, and it's better to roll under the doors. That's something that I discovered after the previous TAS. Yeah, so this zone is all about those doors. They're very, very fun to TAS. Once again, slowing down so the signpost doesn't fling up in the air. And Scrap Brain 2. This level's quite complicated. It's got a pretty in-depth route here. I manipulate this fire not to fire, because otherwise it gets in my way when I'm trying to go through the door. And these next 3 fires are manipulated to not fire. But this one I do want, because I want to take damage. So the reason that I manipulate most of them not to fire is just because of lag reduction. When there is fire coming out, it's quite laggy. But also I would have had to roll under them and stuff. And that trick to get into that hallway there is quite precise. We're going to put the left door up and the right door down here. But then we would normally have to come back through that warp again, so we're just going to die. Because when you come through the warp, it sets a checkpoint. That's why I took damage from the fire earlier for that death warp there. Now you might be noticing me going left very quickly, like here and in Labyrinth 2. I haven't explained that yet, and I will now. So, in this game, when you're rolling and you try and break from a roll, so it tries to slow Sonic down. But the game makes an error in that it assumes that you're always moving to the right, so when it tries to slow you down, it actually just always applies speed to the left. If you're moving right, that works perfectly, but if you're moving left, it speeds you up like we see here for a little bit. So you can build a lot of speed, essentially unlimited, and that's how we clipped off the left side in Labyrinth 2 as well. We'll see it here too. So it's unfortunate that we're not going left more often in this TAS, because I really like it, but it can be quite laggy, so you do have to manage that. And unlike the boss levels, often you do have to reduce lag. And for example in Bridge 2, the auto-scroller, we had no lag frames. So that's Scrap Brain done. We couldn't catch Robotnik, but we're coming into Skybase here. I wait 3 frames so this cannon doesn't shoot. And we're going to get another bank error glitch. Because of the spot we're at in the cycle, we can damage boost there, and that saves waiting for the platform. One thing that I haven't mentioned yet is there is kind of a frame rule in this game for when objects can load. It's an 8 frame rule. That's how I stopped the cannon from firing right away earlier. But it's not as big a deal as in, say, Mario or something. In that level, I manipulated the cannons to fire off screen so it was less laggy, and we're just going to finish it here. As you saw, there was a shortcut, and it's much faster than the intended way. So yeah, as I mentioned, there's a frame rule, and bosses will load on an 8 frame rule, so you can save or lose a bit of time, but it's not huge, and it's not every level that's affected by it, it's just some objects. So we're in the glass with Ivo here, getting a lot of hits in, and we just barely make it before dying. It's quite a difficult thing to do. And there we go, jumping into the portal. So that's when timing would end for a speedrun. There are sort of 2 methods of timing this TAS. So there's traditional TAS timing, and what that is it's when you turn on the game until when you press the last button. The last button I pressed was to jump into that portal. That timing was a 14:37. Obviously that includes all the bonus screens that I cut out of this video at the end of the levels. There's another timing method called RTA minus time bonus, and that's what you would see on something like the speedrun.com leaderboards. And what that does is it's from when you press the button on the title screen until when you get into that portal at the end, and then you subtract all the time that you watched time bonuses counting down. So that disincentivizes you from waiting to get smaller time bonuses to save time overall. Yeah, so the RTA minus time bonus time was a 13:27. And yeah, so there are a lot of people I'd like to thank for this. Isotage made a really great tool, Script Hawk, which helped a lot with making that TAS. Tresem and Icy and Isotage all helped with figuring out the solidity type glitch. That was a massive community effort. It was a very complicated glitch, and it took us a long time to understand it. Also, Fozon there helped with collecting a lot of footage of speedrunners getting that glitch, which helped us to replicate it on emulator, which eventually helped us to understand it. In general, I'd like to really thank the Sonic 1 Master System speedrunning community overall, because they're very passionate, very good runners, and they're keeping this great game alive. And yeah, so thank you a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And be sure to check out the submission text in the description for more information about all the glitches and everything else. Thanks for watching.